July 1st is a big day in my career because back in 2006, I started a talk radio show sitting right here in this seat, talking to this microphone on this board with Central Illinois audience called Saturday Session with Bishop, 2006. And July 1st was that first program. And my career's just continued to evolve from there. Of course, it was a talk show, and then I got into the newsroom and started writing news, covering city council and local issues. And then I was recruited to start a nonprofit news wire service, which has grown exponentially into the Center Square and Illinois Radio Network. But all of that seemed to start right here at this seat. But that didn't come without people in front of me showing me the way and being a mentor. And one of those mentors, believe it or not, was Jim Leach. He's on in the afternoons here. He's also the WMAY news director. Today's his last day at WMAY, where he's moving on to be a public information officer for the Illinois Department of Public Health. Surely you've seen the stories now in both the Illinois Times and the State Journal-Register. But I just wanted to share some of my thoughts about Jim, because what drew me to WMAY was when I was in Springfield and I was flipping around the radio. I was very much interested in politics and hearing everybody's side of things. And I stumbled upon an AM talk station, 970 AM WMAY, and I heard voices like Molson and Lee, and I heard Jim Leach on in the mornings, and it was live and local and taking calls and hearing from the people on the streets and having debates about important issues that either nationally or locally or whatever. It was very informative, and I wanted to be part of it. So I ultimately found that path to get in with Midwest Family through actually the rock station across the hallway, WQLZ. They had this thing called Project Zero Talent back in 2006, where I remember it was the winter, right? It was the winter of 2006. I was in a rock band. My drummer says, hey, QLZ's doing an internship thing. You should check that out. So I applied. There were several hundred people that applied. They chose 60. Out of 2 classes, they whittled that down in like an American Idol type of competition to where they picked the best people to be interns, Project Zero Talent for the rock station. So I interned over there at the rock station for a bit. And at the same time, I was doing some internet radio with Ray Lytle at that time. Not with directly Ray Lytle, but he had a network that he was running. So actually did a show with Ted Keelan here locally called Cult of Conspiracy, which was a lot of fun. But regardless, ultimately Midwest said, hey, here's a part-time job for you. So I was running the board over across the hallway at WQLZ for several months. And then they thought, hey, Bishop's got a good voice. He likes to talk. He knows the issues. Let's give him a weekend talk show. So I did Saturday Session for years. It was probably like 4 or 5 years or so. And then, I got into the newsroom. And in the newsroom, Jim Leach very much was that mentor. He showed me the ropes. He showed me how to write concise, short, impactful stories and how to cover events and how to ask certain questions and to get things heard and to edit things down and get the sound bites just right. And I tell you, the guidance that Jim offered me as a young news hound was very instrumental. And I can't thank Jim enough for that. He really is somebody who has shown me the ropes and allowed for me to watch him work closely as well. Now, granted, when I was in the newsroom and Jim was in the morning show, we would get into some debates. There's no question. Some of you may remember that. And a lot of those debates centered around firearm laws and the Second Amendment. And we would have pretty contentious debates on air. And that was a lot of fun to be able to take part in Jim's show that way. And then after the tragic death of his wife, he moved to the afternoon slot. And I was right there to take the morning show. So off and on again, here I am back at the morning show. And Jim is saying goodbye to the radio audience. He's moving on to bigger and better things, and he'll be still obviously very much involved in media because he's going to be a public information officer for the Illinois Department of Public Health. And I think that is, he's he's going to be able to get messages out appropriately, right, and effectively. That's what he does well, and he's going to continue to do that well. I am assured of that, just having watched his work over the years. But a lot of people are going to miss him, and a lot of people aren't. Let's face it. There's some listeners out there who lean one way, that try to get their voice heard on Jim's show, and then back and forth and whatnot. But listen, I promise, as long as I'm here in this seat, I'm going to allow every voice to be heard. I'm going to approach everything, getting out all sides, not just both sides, because it's not a two-side issue on everything. There are all sides involved here, and I think it's important that we do that. And I try to do that every time we discuss something. I will air things from the governor, and I will also paraphrase maybe what the those who contradict the governor have to say. Or, when we discuss a controversial issue, I'll work to give you all sides. Even with the gun ban litigation, it's very much important to hear the arguments that the state and local governments are making, while also hearing what the arguments are from the plaintiffs. So I promise to continue to do that, to strive towards that, and I think that the voice in the afternoon, Jim Leach, is not retiring, but retiring from radio. So Godspeed to Jim. I think a lot of people out there are going to miss him. Others, while you may not like his brand of radio show, I imagine that you're going to miss it regardless, because it's entertaining nonetheless. All right, 217-629-7970 is a yes, and somebody on somebody on the YouTube chat. Yes, I am a metal music person. I listen to all kinds of music, and I'm a big fan of heavy metal. I'm a big fan of trip hop. I'm a big fan of some kind of weird conglomeration of all things. I'm a big fan of music, period. But metal music, sure, yeah, I can get into it. All right, let's get a call here before we take a break. Good morning, you're on WMAY.
Hey, good morning, Greg. Thanks for your comments about Jim Leach. My wife and I moved to Springfield about 15 months ago, and thanks to Jim, we've learned a lot. Well, you too, but thanks to Jim also, we've learned a lot about the community and a lot about different places and different things that go on in the community and stuff. Unfortunately, too much of local radio, they've forgotten the word local,
Yep.
and Jim really represents what local radio is all about, as do you. So just wanted to call in and share that.
No, I appreciate that. And listen, I can always do better to get more local. We do the council roundup every week, of course, looking at the Springfield City Council. But a lot of what I do outside of this is focused on the State House, which still is very much local because, well, we're in the capital city. Springfield is where the legislature is, and in a way that very much is local. So keeping plugged in there, and I think even with the streaming options there are, people are getting plugged in online as well. But I just wanted to share some of those thoughts. Thank you, Jim Leach, for being that mentor to me in the WMAY newsroom. It really gave me that foundation I needed to excel in my news talk radio career, and I sit back and look back to July 1st of 2006 when I first sat in this chair. Well, not this chair exactly. There's probably been 4 or 5 different chairs since then, but talking into this microphone, I'm pretty sure it's the same microphone. I should have carved my name into it or something, But again, Jim, providing that foundation, giving me the insights that I needed, giving me a better understanding of the tools that I needed, and really being there and supporting me in that capacity. So, Jim, you're going to be missed. Definitely hope that we cross paths again in the very near future.